Friends, today's topic is another lecture from Complete Works of Volume of Swamiji. It was delivered at the Home of Truth in Los Angeles, California. Swamiji spoke about hints on practical spirituality. Very interesting indeed, and how it has got its different connotations and interesting aspects. And what is the meaning of this practicality? Swamiji is mentioning that he has given a lot of discussions on theories, so he wanted to show certain aspects of practicality in this. In this regard, he has mentioned that in India they have written a lot of books on this subject. As in West, people have done practical aspects of different derivative things. He is giving an interesting example of in America when 5 persons come together and they can build a joint stock company in no time. But in India, it is not possible. It cannot be done in 50 years. They are impractical in certain matters. But in the system of philosophy, however the wild the theory may be, it will have a number of followers. And he has given a good example of that. So, he is trying to say we are making judgments of others through a little mental universe. This is our ethics, our morality, our sense of duty, our sense of utility. These are the only things that are worth having. And he is giving an example how this is interesting when he is going through a steamer. In this regard, he has mentioned about Christ's great saying, I quote, "Judge not that ye be not judged." And saying that the more we learn, the more we find out how ignorant we are, how multiform and multi-sided in this mind of man. He is saying that this criticizing the ascetic practice of our country, where great preachers in our own land have criticized them. But at the same time, as people are growing old, they have started understanding things. He is saying that when he thinks that his judgment and criticism do not proceed from in dislike of torture, but from the sheer cowardice, because I cannot do it, I dare not do it. This is the problem of our. Then he's talking about the strength, power and courage, which are very peculiar. And how you say, so and so is great, he is daring man, brave man. But this all depends on the circumstances. A person who can go and face the bullet, maybe shivering with the idea of thought of a knife with the surgeon. And the person who can bravely bear this knife of surgeon, maybe shuddering when he thinks or sees a gun. So these are all basically relative things. The person whom I am criticizing that is not good may be wonderful in many ways than me. And again, we compare one to the other. A man who can suffer, who can stand a tremendous physical extension, he may be comparing with a woman whom we may consider weak, non-combating qualities. But women are courageous as well as men. Each is equally good in his own or her own way. So we should not compare, we should not criticize. We should be able to judge each other in their own terms and conditions. And that is a practical way of leading a good life. An interesting example is telling that suddenly in America they found that the people should not be given enough education. Then the world will be in problem. But what has happened? By more and more spread of education, the world has become better and better. And also he is giving an example of those days, the wages of English worker compared to the German workers. The German workers are getting higher wages because they were having a better education and better workman quality. Let's talk about what is talking about the practical aspect. The subject of practical application of psychology has been taken up in India from very early times. 1400 years before Christ, there flourished in India a great philosopher, Patanjali by name. He has collected all the facts, evidences, researches, and accumulated them, analyzed them in this past. Remember, this world is very old. Though in this Western world, it has been assumed that the world was created, our society has begun 1800 years ago, which is with the New Testament. But before that, there was no society. That may be true for the West. Whereas in the East, it was different. He is giving an interesting example where an intellectual friend of him asked, why then the rishis did not come to England to teach us those days? Swamiji is happily and interestingly replied, because there is no England to come to, whom they will come and preach? To the forest? In the same vein, he is talking about an example when Ingersoll told him that if Swami would have come 50 years back to the America, people would have lynched him, burnt alive, because the things which he is talking are very revolutionary. So, nothing unreasonable in the supposition that civilization existed 1400 years before Christ. It is not yet settled whether civilization has always come from the lower to the higher. Same arguments and proofs that have been brought forward to prove this proposition can also be used to demonstrate that the savage is only a degraded civilization man. The people of China, for instance, they can never believe that civilization sprang from a savage state, because the contrary is in their experience. Whereas when you talk about American civilization, which means the perpetuity and growth of your own race. Swamiji is talking now about this civilization aspect. Hindu civilization were much older than any other civilization. An interesting part of this is that it is not just sprang by itself. It's basically spreading different directions, intermingling with other races and civilization, and then it grew up in such a strong position. For practical purposes, he's talking about the language of modern science. We do not ask question on the matter of science, but there is a supervision. We have taken them for granted, accepted it. But did we ask the question? True science asks us to be cautious. We have to be finding out that whether it is existing, we should analyze, we should test it, prove anything and everything, and then take it. We have assumed many things in mathematics also, and based on that we have proceeded ahead. So this assumption is a part of this practicality aspect. In this connection, Swamiji is talking about, let's go back to the 1400 before Christ, what he's mentioning. And Patanjali has given great emphasis on this. The yogis, he is mentioning that there are three principal nerve currents. One is Ida, the other is Pingala, and the middle one is called Sushumna, and all these are inside the spinal column. Ida and Pingala are the left and right, are basically a cluster of nerves, while the middle one, Sushumna, is hollow and is not at all having any cluster of nerves. This Sushumna is closed, and for the ordinary man is of no use, because he works through the Ida and Pingala only. Currents are continually going down and coming up through these nerves, carrying orders all over the body through other nerves returning to the different organs of the body, and that has been proven by the so-called modern science also. Basically, the regulation and bringing into rhythm this Ida and Pingala is the subject of or object of breathing. And we know that through pranayama we do the breathing exercise and we try to control and bring it in rhythm. Just as we control the prana in our own body, so if we are powerful enough, we can control even from a distance someone else's prana. It's all one. There is no break. Unity is the law. Physically, psychically, mentally, morally, metaphysically, it is all one. Life is only a vibration. That which vibrates, this ocean of ether, vibrates you, me, and everybody. Just as in a lake, various strata of ice of various degree of solidity are formed, or as in an ocean of vapor there are various degrees of density, so is this universe an ocean of matter. There is an ocean of ether in which all of us we find the sun, moon, stars, ourselves in different aspects, different states of solidity. But the continuity is not broken, it is the same throughout. In the world of metaphysics, we come to know that everything is one and same. It is all one, but why it is different? Because we look at from different planes of vision. When you think of ourselves as a body, we forget that we are mind. When you think of yourself as a mind, we forget that we are body. There is only one thing, that you are one, and you can see it either as a matter or body, or you can see it as a mind or spirit. Birth, life and death are but all superstitious. None of us will be born nor will die. Only when you are changing the position, that is the practical aspects. So, the whole universe therefore is a unit from whatever standpoint of view. This universe is a unit of prana and akasha, the force and the matter. And he is saying that like all other basic principles, this is also self-contradictory. For what is force? That which moves matter. And what is matter? That which is moved by force. So it's a seesaw. Some of the fundamentals of our reasoning are most curious, in spite of our boast of science and knowledge. Basically, it's a head without a head, as the Sanskrit proverb says. This state of things has been called Maya. It has neither existence nor non-existence. You cannot call it existence because that only exists which is beyond time and space, which is self-existence. Yet this world satisfies to a certain degree our idea of existence. So it is as an apparent existence. Before we conclude, is there any real existence? Yes, it is there. The reality is, as it were, is caught in the meshes of time, space and causation. There is the real man, the infinite, the beginningless, the endless. They were blessed, they were free. Only thing, this person has been caught in the meshes of time, space and causation. So everything in this world has been in the same way. The reality of everything is the same infinite. This is not an idealism. It is not that the world does not exist. It is a relative existence and fulfills all its requirements. It is independent, it is having no independent existence. It is because existing at the absolute reality beyond time, space and causation. Now coming to the main point. It's very interesting. All these automatic movements and all the consciousness movements are basically working of this prana through our nerve centers. And it's to be nice things to control over these unconscious actions. Swami is giving an interesting definition of God and man. Man, as he defining, is an infinite circle whose circumference is nowhere, but the center is located in only one spot. Whereas God is an infinite circle whose circumference is nowhere, but whose center is everywhere. He is working through different bodies, hands, eyes, working on different feet. So man can become God like and acquire control over the whole universe if he is multiplying infinitely self-centered consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the chief thing to understand. Why it is important? Right now the consciousness which is existing, it will become the past, it will become subconsciousness. And when you understand subconsciousness which is buried, we will be able to understand more clearly the practical aspect of the spirituality. Every system of ethics says that don't steal, don't do bad things, do good. But still we are doing stealing, robbing and other bad things. Why? This is all because the tremendous psychological problems are existing due to these unconscious thoughts, unconscious actions already there in the past. So, the task is important. First and foremost, we must seek to control how the sunken thoughts which has become automatic with us, to have a control over that. And we know about that and make it a consciousness. So the practical psychology directs us first that all energy in this controlling is unconsciousness, and we know that we can do it. Why? Because we know the cause of the unconsciousness is the cause of consciousness. The unconscious thoughts are submerged millions of our old conscious thoughts. Old conscious actions become petrified, so we do not look at them, but do not know them, but have forgotten them. But these are important. So the first part of the study is controlling of this unconsciousness. The next is to go beyond this consciousness. Just as our unconscious work is beneath consciousness, so there is another work which is our consciousness. When this superconsciousness state is reached, man becomes free and divine, death becomes immortality, witness becomes infinite power, and iron bondage becomes liberty. That is the goal, the infinite realm of the superconsciousness. So, the work, as per Swamiji is saying, the twofold. First working properly on Ida and Pingala, which are the two existing ordinary currents, so that it can control the subconsciousness action. And secondly, to go beyond this, even consciousnesses. Then comes the Sushupna, which will open up now, and current which never before entered in this new passage will find its way into it and gradually ascend to what is called, we call it figurative language, to different lotus centers, till that at last it reaches the brain. Then the yogi becomes conscious of what he really is, God himself. Everything without exception, every one of us can attain this end, the final, the culmination of the yoga. But it's a terrible task, Swamiji is saying. The reason, how long it takes? It may be hour, it may be. He gave an example that if you strike a match, within no time, a candle will be lit and darkness will go off. So it takes a second or so to light a candle, but how much time it takes to build or make a candle. So this preparation is important, and that's why the preparation is required before we embark on this journey. Start our preparations, and even if we fail, nothing to worry. As in Gita, Arjuna is asking Krishna the question, quote, those who fail in attaining perfection in yoga in this life, are they destroyed like the clouds of summer? Unquote. Krishna is replying, I quote, nothing, my friend, is lost in this world. Whatever one does, that remains as one's own. And if the fruition of yoga does not come in this life, one takes it up again in the next birth. Unquote. Otherwise, how do one can explain the marvelous childhood of Jesus, Buddha and Sankara? This breathing, posturing, etc. through yoga is important, helpful, but they are mere physical. What is very important and necessary and first thing to do is a quiet and peaceable life. If you want to become a yogi, one must be free and place oneself in circumstances where one is alone and free from all anxiety. And this is possible through the meditation. In meditation, we divest ourselves of all mental condition and feel our divine nature. We do not depend on any external help in meditation. The touch of the soul can paint in brightest color even in the dingiest places. It can cast a fragrance over the vilest thing, can take the wicked divine, and all enmity, all selfishness enforced. Less is to be thought about this body, because the moment we talk about this body, the attachment, it brings us down. So that is the secret. To think that I am the spirit and not the body, and that the whole of this universe, with all its relations, with all its good and all its evil, is but as a series of paintings, scenes on a canvas, of which I am the witness. I am the witness. Hari Om.